I'm really excited about the chance to introduce Rod Dreher to Jason. So do we have the graphic of that first article we're going to talk about?
I don't know if this was the one. This wasn't the one I read.
Okay, well, let's see. So so here's how this article starts. I've never given circumcision a single thought, promising beginning, other than to consent to my son's circumcision. Europeans think it's weird for American Gentiles to be circumcised. I think they're right, but I remember the one kid we had in my elementary school class, a black boy who had been born at home and who was not circumcised. All of us boys wanted to stare at his primitive root wiener. We were at the urinal during recess because it was monstrous. Nobody told us that wieners could look like that. The kids didn't know why his penis was so strange looking. Neither did we. Third grade, man. So,
as I'm looking at this annual gala with Jeff Sessions doing the keynote, I'm not surprised this guy is talking about monster child black cocks and fucking bits that look like worms and shit in grade school. Ben goes, you know this guy? He says the guy's names. I never heard of him, and I thought he was going to say like the guy died, like something said like is someone I should know that passed, or then I thought maybe it was some shitty dude on Twitter that called him a piece of shit. This motherfucker called me a piece of. That's also how Ben talks up when he's not.
That's right.
Yeah, can't confirm. Yeah.
Yeah, the second we're no longer live, and it sound exactly like that.
Fuck this guy. I was like, that wasn't the article I found. It was something else that was on some bullshit. I can't remember what it was about. I try to avoid certain right-wingy shit because it's just like where I'm at right now is a little, you know what I mean? A little white where I'm at right
now. Yeah. So, nevertheless, I'm going to do this to you. So,
people that are watching this to know this is the kind of shit that Ben does to me. Like he gets a kick out of the shit. He's like, "Hey, Jason, I'm going to do a show about Charlie Kirk. Why do you want me on? What did I do to you? It's fucked up."
So Rod Dreher is a columnist for the American Conservative, which was Pat Buchanan's magazine originally, but it's become it's like a pretty popular conservative magazine. So that's who he is. Something else that he is a lunatic. Now, if his reflections on the primitive root wiener of that boy in his class didn't make this clear enough, we have some other documentation here.
You have his pedo dossier. We have
it's like a slideshow of various penises.
All right, so this is an article that he wrote called "Devils of Manhattan," and this is much weirder than what we just read, believe it or not. So here's how he starts out. You might remember this from a post of mine about a year ago. Now, the post from a year ago on the American Conservative, he starts out by saying some weird stuff about like cattle mutilation and things that he thinks are paranormal. But
whoa,
yeah. But he starts out with the crucial quote for that previous post. Says, "Now that's a setup, all the stuff about cattle mutilation and all that, for me to tell you about a strange phone call I received yesterday. I hesitated about whether or not to blog about it. The caller, an old friend I hadn't heard from in a decade, who gave me permission to blog about it as long as I kept names and identifying details out of the story. He said others may draw hope from it. He wasn't exactly sure why he felt the urge to call me about the matter, but he did." This is how I always start off, when I write up something that Jason told me on the phone. Background: Nathan, as I'll call my friend. Very fun, by the way, if you think this is, this like actually it's Dave. This is just Nathan Robinson telling him all this. But Nathan, as I'll call my friend, is a devout Catholic who lives in a major U.S. city and who works in a sophisticated professional milieu. He is early middle-aged, a husband and father. He and his family go to Mass daily and confession weekly. Nathan started his story with a jaw-dropping line. For the past year, my wife has been under the care of an exorcist.
Word? That would have been my response when Nathan said that. I'd be like, oh, no shit. All right, Nate, it's getting late. I think the microwave went off and something's in it. Gotta go.
I don't know Nathan's wife as well as I know him, but I can tell you that she is worldly and sophisticated, even as she is devout. She is one of the last people you would imagine having a problem like this. I like that sort of phrase, by the way, a problem like this. You have a problem, you have to go see somebody. Nathan told the story of how things came to this point. I won't give you too many details out of an abundance of caution. It turns out that his wife had an eating disorder as a teenager and tried to kill herself twice back then. Now, in the middle of her life, depression returned, but with certain strange characteristics that seemed off. She began to despise religious things in an inexplicable way. When she went to a healing mass, there was a manifestation indicated something dark and alien was at work in her. Catholic exorcists today work in a professional way, ruling out all their medical possibilities. I really want to know what that process looks like, by the way, like how you rule out that there's anything medical that could possibly be causing this.
I also want to know what the manifestation is. Like, was she there? Like, they tried to heal her, and all of a sudden, like this like spark of flame shot off her. Like, what happened? Like, details. Come on, man. You're skipping on the good parts.
So let's see. The exorcism of Nathan's wife has not been a single event, but has required multiple sessions, which are still going on. Father Gabriel Amoth, the late chief exorcist of Rome, has explained in his books how this works. Nathan has been part of the rituals. He told me that 8 different spirits have manifested themselves through his wife. He's been at this long enough now to discern which one is which. They revealed through the rituals that they entered into his wife's family through her grandfather, who was involved in the occult in a ritualistic way. Nathan said that depending on which evil spirit manifests in a particular moment, his wife's face contorts into expressions that he has never seen in her, despite their nearly 2 decades
like a smile.
Marriage.
It's fucked up.
Mind you, Nathan is one of the least woo-woo friends he has. Makes you really wonder about Rod's other friends. Again, he works at what you might call a symbolic analyst in a very worldly occupation. Okay. And lives in one of the biggest and most secular cities in America. He's been a faithful Catholic for as long as I've known him, but not especially interested in the mystical side of the faith. Once you've seen reality through the eyes of spiritual warfare, he told me yesterday, you can't go back. It's everywhere. He told me other detailed stories, including accounts of bizarro, poltergeisty things happening in their apartment, and his wife being unable to stand the presence of blessed objects, a classic sign of possession. Again, readers, if you knew these people, Nathan and his wife, you would be even more shocked by all this than you are now. This is the kind of thing.
Like, that would be the thing that would be shocking about him. Like, not Nathan and his wife. His family.
I mean, if it happened to, okay, sure. Jake's girlfriend, maybe, right? I could see that. But, like, Nathan's wife? No.
Not Nate.
You can't splash my wife with holy water without her hissing at you like a cat. But Nathan's wife, on the other hand.
This dude, he reminds me of Thomas Friedman a little bit with his
right, the way that Thomas Friedman always does the, like, a cab driver in Dubai told me this thing.
Like, only he can have that experience. Like, fuck off. Like, fuck all the way off.
This is the kind of family that takes European vacations and lives a sophisticated and cosmopolitan life, and yet this horror has overtaken them. So just to review, the reason it's so shocking is that they're rich.
Well, isn't that who gets? I guess this douchebag has never seen the fucking Exorcist. Because last I checked, Linda Blair's family was doing really, really well. Like that was
nice ass.
And even on the TV series spinoff, that you know, she was still doing well after.
And has this doucher ever watched like The Omen? Like, these aren't impoverished families in the fucking favelas of Brazil.
His father was the ambassador to the court of St. James. You know, they only said that 100 times in the movie.
Like, of course, rich people get possessed. Duh. So says 70s horror.
It's like I know what you're thinking. This is a working class family, but no, dear reader, you should be shocked.
Look,
this is not the possession of Emily Rose.
If we're talking about some inner city family with, you know, running around with their, you know, monstrous primitive root weeders, you know, hanging out, you know, then like, sure, a little demonic possession among them, you know, that's to be expected, you know, but like, you know, these people take European vacations.
Like remember the black Haitian kid with the big dong did voodoo in the bathroom? Yeah, not the big dong Haitian kid. These were real deal white people.
They all had tiny dicks. Like it's not like there's no, you know, they had lots of money. And yet this horror has overtaken them. The wife goes through periods in which she hears foul blasphemies and feels compelled to commit suicide. And the exorcism sessions, I think the months of exorcism session are probably not helping that situation.
Oh my God.
I love how they act like the exorcism sessions are like Dr. Gregory House, like some diagnostic process that's like really rigorous. It's like
what he needs.
Is it lupus or is it demons?
Like, this, you know what's really sad? Like someone published this.
Yeah.
Like that's what's sad.
I mean, just on this point though, about what an easy like gig this is, which I mean, my God, right? Like out of every level of conservative world, like there's somebody with like a bag of cash who's like just like tossing it at you, you know, because like, oh, you know, you want a fellowship, you know, you want a think tank position, you know, sinecure, you know, you want to have a column here, like, and it works at every level. Like Turning Points USA, that headquarters in Phoenix, is like late Friday afternoon, and I don't know how many of them are staffers or interns or what, but there are like 20 people milling around, right? Like with like nothing to do.
That's because it's truly what they refer to as unskilled labor, you know. Right-wing punditry, unskilled labor.
And this is like the American conservative. Okay, so it's not like Newsmax or whatever, or even like Turning Points USA. This is like a little bit of the classier version, you know, that like people who want to think of themselves as like smart conservatives are probably more likely to, or at least the sort of more, you know, I don't want to say fascist, the more, you know, old school reactionary-ish, right, of people who want to think of themselves as smart conservatives are reading this. But like, just think about the fact that this guy has a job there. He's a columnist for the American Conservative. That would be like, imagine the craziest leftist that you've ever met. And it's going to take a minute, right? Like, because I'm sure everybody's got a little Rolodex in their head that they're going through right now. You know, like, okay, is that guy crazier? Or, you know, is but like, imagine like the least balanced leftist you've ever met. And imagine that they were just like offered that, oh, hey, you want to be a columnist at Jacobin?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine getting a phone call that Jacobin needs you to do some fluff shit for Halloween?
Wait, Ben, you got to write something like this for the Halloween Jacobin special. Your own. Hey, I heard it, and it's the you know.
Just take my word for it. You know, this woman is totally possessed by demons. So
what? And also, like, was there a point?
Which
okay. Well, let's
I'm really now,
like,
now I'm more
my graphic designer Andy. I mean, my masseuse.
I'm so afraid of the point this guy.
All right. Well, let's keep going.
I'm terrified.
All right. So in the exorcism sessions, Nathan says the demons under compulsion from the exorcist. Power of Christ compels you. Speak of these things, in particular, how they intend to destroy Nathan's wife and her family life. When will she be free of them? The exorcist can't say. The fight continues in regular sessions. In our long phone conversation yesterday, Nathan says that this ordeal has taught him about the power of prayer. Doesn't sound very powerful, honestly. If this has been going on for months.
Like that's all he needed, like a couple more trips to the fucking church. Like that was it. That was it. Like, oh, if we just would have said our fucking prayers at night like children, then
he knows
all of this could have been avoided.
The power of prayer, and if the church has weapons against these things.
This
he
guy
knows
does not watch movies.
His wife is not his enemy, despite the things that sometimes come out of her mouth. And he has resolved to hold firm, to fight for her through his prayers, and to help her be free of the malicious, intelligent spirits. He recommends this book. This is the reality Nathan and his wife have been living under for the past year.
Hey, real quick, I got to out of context that sentence. He knows that his wife is not his enemy, despite the things that sometimes come out of her mouth. That is so appealing to the conservative readership. Like I feel like we're getting at the like Freudian heart of what this article is really about, but we'll see where it's going.
Andrew, speaking of that, Andrew, you remember the movie People Under the Stairs?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay, Ben, you've seen People Under the Stairs?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask Andrew these questions because Teray and I gave you enough shit.
You've probably seen it more recently than I have, but yeah.
But Teray and I gave you enough shit for not watching TV, and I will give you a 5-minute break before I start teasing you again about your daddy trying to beat you for changing the channel. But
that was like 20 minutes of the Get Out discussion with spent riffing on how, because basically the only TV shows I watched in the mid-90s were The Simpsons and The X-Files, Jason's view that this must be, but that that I knew I was going to get whooped if I ever changed the channel from Fox.
I dare you, son. Touch it again. I just want to see Night Court, Dad. I want to understand why the kids at school talk about Cheers.
Sounds accurate.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, it wasn't 5 minutes. It was 5 seconds before we fucked with you about it.
All right, people under the stairs.
You know what? Totally forgot. Oh, now I remember. Did not know that it was about conservatism. That's why the husband and his wife, they were brother and sister, and they were
based
called
on Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, it was Nancy and Ronald Reagan. I didn't know that because he called Nancy Reagan mother, and if you remember, he calls her mother, and it's supposed to be about the perversion of conservatism is what that movie is about, and I did not know that.
Gentrification, and it's a fantastic movie. It's
I mean, the gentrification now, as an older person, I get it now. I watched it as a kid.
Yeah. No, all that stuff flew over my head whenever I watched it as a kid.
Yeah. But a really interesting film. I actually do kind of enjoy it, and in reading this guy's weird take on the exorcism, it makes me think of that movie and how perverse the conservative mind can be.
Yeah.
Now, we've been talking about movies, but back to real life and stuff that definitely really happened. Nathan, the sort of man who has been played by Jimmy Stewart and Jack Lemmon in a 1950s movie, told me that having entered this world, he has learned that more and more, like Trump, more and more people, more and more ordinary people like him and his wife are turning to exorcists. He has come to see the demonic attacks on marriage and family are increasing and wants people to know that there is hope. But Lane claimed that hope requires recognizing the nature of the battle. That's the setup. Nathan and his wife, I'll call her Emma, live in New York City. When I was in the city this week, I went to see them. I write what follows with Nathan's permission.
But hold on, time out. Would you really go to the fucking exorcist house if you knew this crazy chick was having her head spin around and there's like multiple priests coming in and out? Like, sorry, Nate, we can text.
Maybe he really wanted pea soup.
Like, you know what? Last I checked, Drew, that shit is contagious. Like, once one possession goes and you get possessed, now your kids are all acting weird. Fuck that noise. Sorry, Nate. Can't talk to you, buddy. Let me know when you figure this whole exorcist shit out.
He had a
asshole wants to go to his house. I figured I'd just stroll on by to Nate's unannounced and be like, "Hey, Nate, I just happen to be in the area. Is your wife still fucking, you know?"
I got a column for due tomorrow.
This column ain't gonna write itself. I need some material.
Yes. Emma has completed the formal Catholic process to have a ritual exorcism. This, as distinct from deliverance prayers that the exorcist has been saying over her, to limited effect. Part of that process was the psychiatric evaluation by a psychiatrist to rule out mental illness or any other natural cause for this behavior. I really want to know how long this evaluation lasted. Like, you know, they had the one meeting with the psychiatrist.
What fucking psychiatrist do you go to and you're spinning and you're speaking in demonic voices and they're like, all clear, like
so I wonder if this is back
a Ouija board.
If this is like back when the only way that you could legally buy weed was by getting a doctor to prescribe it to you, and there were doctors who were just for that. Like, that's all they did all day, every day, is write people bullshit weed prescriptions. If there's like the equivalent of the shady weed doctor, there's like the shady exorcism psychiatrist.
all clear.
It looks like Trump's doctor.
The demon penis.
All he does all day is like, oh yeah, probably demons.
Oh yeah, this is demons, man. Yeah, I've seen the headache before. I think here's a prescription for a Ouija board and only an ounce of holy water.
Physically crossing out all the other ailments.
All the other, yeah, he's crossing out every single like normal psychiatric condition.
Yeah, all eight conditions that it could have been are crossed out. We should get through it. We should get through it.
Speaking in tongues again.
All right. To rule out mental illness or any other natural cause for this behavior, they ruled out all the natural causes. Very efficient process. She passed that. I want to emphasize that she has been, this is in bold, she has been formally examined by a psychiatrist who has certified that there's no known medical or natural cause for the things she is suffering and that manifests themselves through her. They are still waiting on the cardinal's approval. In the Catholic Church, no formal ritual exorcism can happen without express permission of the local bishop, which in this case is the cardinal.
So there's like more checks and balances with the church than the hospital.
Yeah, one session with a psychiatrist and they've ruled out everything natural and every psychiatric condition that could possibly be causing any of this.
He's sitting there with his stethoscope like, breathe in. Oh, that's a demon. Definitely a demon.
And I mean, does it have to be a cardinal or could it be any bird? Could it be like an oriole?
So, yeah.
All the checks and balances for the church. They just went to one psychiatrist.
Yeah, one psychiatrist, but you have to take it up to the cardinal and the church end.
The Gilbert Gottfried. What?
I invite you to read this 2016 Vanity Fair piece by the film director William Friedkin, best known for having made The Exorcist. In the piece, he writes about traveling to Italy to make a documentary about Father, blah, 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 who's the exorcist of Rome. What Friedkin says is what Emma was going through. Read down at least far enough to the point where Friedkin shows video he shot of an exorcism session involving an Italian woman to two separate neurosurgeons back in New York. Neither one could explain what they see. Well, there you go.
It was Exorcism 2. Nobody can explain that movie.
I paid a call on Nathan and Emma in their apartment. Emma was even more beautiful than I remembered her in person. That's an interesting interjection. But she looked pale and tired. We sat and began to talk. Nathan began our talk with prayer. Her voice betrayed signs of an internal struggle. Suddenly, her head swung back and forward, back and to the left. Her face creased, and a deep voice said through her, "Fucking bitch!" she was instantly, obviously this is a family publication, so Rod did F dash dash. She was instantly back to herself and said weakly, "That's not me."
And she looked really fucking hot during this whole process. I should say, like,
all of a sudden her fucking gown turned into stilettos and a thong.
Well, you know, Rod's one fantasy is Tourette syndrome.
This fantasy.
Like, I don't know what that's called, but you know, somebody's got to have that thing.
Well, I assume the psychiatrist in his one session must have ruled out Tourette's and everything else, along with all the other stuff. She really didn't really have to say that. It was so clearly wasn't her. If you didn't know her, you would think she was suffering from Tourette's. But again, she has been examined by a psychiatrist. She doesn't suffer from Tourette's. All right, well, that's that taken care of. Later, when Nathan brought out a relic that someone had given them, awesome. This is a grown man put this in print. Later, when Nathan brought out a relic that someone had given them, she reacted instantly, like a normal person would if someone had presented a poisonous viper. The deep voice demanded that Nathan get that thing away from her. There was more. I've never seen anything like this in person. The sense of malice and destruction was intense. They intend to destroy Emma and to take down as many people as they can. Why, by the way, the demons have nothing better to do than destroy Emma? Interesting question. You could focus like, the demons aren't like bothering with, I guess at the time this was written, Melania Trump, like they're not going to do that, right? They're going to go after. No,
that's too obvious.
They're going to go after Emma. She told me these evil spirits are constantly telling her to kill herself. Nathan told me that one of the demons that uses that particular language when Emma is about to share practical wisdom that she's gained from her awful experience. Indeed, that's what Emma subsequently did. Despite all the scary stuff, I came away from the meeting feeling profoundly inspired, more inspired than unsettled. Let me emphasize. Why? Because I don't know that I've ever seen such strong faith. Both Nathan and Emma are so thoroughly committed to Jesus Christ, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, there was an emo demon in her, apparently. The suicidal emo demon. All of a sudden, Emma only wanted to wear tight jeans with a white belt.
She looked better than ever.
She looked better than ever in her scene gear.
Black Parade.
On for Hot Topic. And Warped Tour bands.
So inspired.
All right, he's got a list. Is this the end? He's got the list of lessons: forgiveness, no substitute for prayer, embrace total humility, keep your eyes locked on the cross. All right.
Should we go a little toward the end, or
yeah, let's go towards the end.
This dude wrote like 3,000 words on this bullshit.
Right.
How about when this ordeal is finally over? I feel like that's a good.
All right. When this ordeal is finally over, I believe Nathan and Emma are going to write a book about it. I hope so. For the sake of sharing that hope with others, Nathan told me last year when he first reached out to give me the news, once you've seen reality through the eyes of spiritual warfare, you can't go back. It's everywhere. We heard that. I get that. When I wrote Nathan to share the text of this post, asked permission to publish it, he responded in part, I would also add that God has supplied all the graces needed. Sure. Is that the last paragraph at the bottom there? Okay. Now, reader, believe it or not, it doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't believe it. All right. That's good.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
I'm telling you, though, he doesn't care, but he's going to tell you one more time. I'm telling you, though, if you had sat there with me and saw and heard the things I saw and heard, see, we're not deferring to his lived experience, which is what you need to do here. Telling though, if you had sat there with me and saw and heard the things I saw and heard, you would find it hard to see the world the same way. There are some of you who need to read this, who need the hope in Nathan and Emma's story, which is really confusing because it sounded like she still had the demons. So I don't know. Like there's a lot about hope in there, but like,
I mean, You act like you've never been around someone that was possessed by an emo fuck demon.
Well, we can only hope, right?
You've been to New York before.
Yeah,
Upper West Side.
Yeah, y'all are older than me, and amongst my age cohort, this is kind of just like, you know, par for the course, like witch talk. You know, like I want to see Rod Dreher and like with the like TikTok witches, you know, like jamming out.
Like let's go and go to one of this guys, like, you know, he's doing like in-person shit, and let's just all go and be like, hey, tell the story about the fuck demon, dude. You know, Nate Nema. Tell it.
Nate Nema.
So there's one possibility that this is this extremely depressed woman who you know, the months of having priests yell at her probably not helping with her issues, and she has Tourette's and God knows what else. But the slightly better possibility is that, okay, she probably is genuinely very depressed and, you know, unbalanced, but she doesn't have Tourette's. And this is just her way of fucking with her husband, because like he knows that like he's going to take this super seriously, and she's probably sick of going to mass every day, you know, and confession every week, and you know, and so she just like, this is just her little game. It's like, okay, how many minutes has it been, you know, since I did the deep voice?
She's my hero. Because that shit's
call
fucking hilarious. If you have the patience to do all that shit, you are a fucking G and a half, Emma. You are a G and a half, Emma. Because that's shit's ridiculous, man. This guy gets paid to write that shit.
Yeah,
he gets paid well, huh?
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.